My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Where have we seen this before? Where have we seen this before? They're stalking. License 1682517 is the City of Ontario that is stalking with the people of the state. And you're going to look right at what is occurring after 6 p.m. at the same B Street, Euclid, where the including Michael LORENZ and the Ontario Police Department are stalking me with the people. 8 CLK 583, that's prison. 83663T1 and the third-party company. And Paul Leon is being removed from office, conspiring my murder, just like I stated, while funding terrorism, using the vehicles, using the helicopters of the city of Ontario, providing them literally even fuel to stalk and monitor me while under the fake sun that is not over the OVITT Family Community Library. It is 10:18 a.m. My video shows the fake sun over me 10:17 a.m. 7 KKP060, but that's just a specific time. The entity keeps the fake sun from 7 a.m. until sunset at the OVITT Family Community Library, where it's not. This is what Highway, Myers and Sons Highway are engaging in under this fake sun. Flashing of light, monitoring with the City of Ontario. The City of Ontario represents the state, and the City of Ontario is showing you how the state is engaging in conspiring murder with the people of the state. These are all demons. They're lined up, and they're engaging in surveillance. This isn't traffic, and they're relevant. I just want to be clear. Justice is not going to deny federal prison for all of them stalking. It's crossing paths over and over and over while they keep you under surveillance. And then they have the engineered light that swipes across you while they're sexually violating you. And then they're engaged in criminal summoning. 9CKU371. These are the demon-possessed, the Nephilim. And Mike Lorenz is going to be federally prosecuted, and so is Paul Leon. And this is what the entity is doing while they're monitoring the evidence of me capturing the pictures of their license plates, putting it on the internet, and then their only tactic, highly predictable, which is why they're going to prison, engaging in what is stalking by helicopter. That's all you got? Because you're getting time in prison for it, and you're not getting out in 6 months. License 08963F1, and Impossible Light is moving across that wall. This is a stalker, and so is this, and so is this. The sun would not be at the same intersection at any point in time. 1040C, handicap. His actual handicap is that he's demon-possessed. He's a psychopath, has undiagnosed mental illness, and this is exactly where I stood after 6 p.m. and the entity is stalking me by flying over my head while I'm at the same mule car smokehouse, doing so pursuant to surveillance, while the people of the state are aware that they're being documented for conspiring my murder, and they still persist in that criminal pattern of conduct in commercial vehicles such as V3, a terrorist, and in their private vehicles, if you will, 08963F1. But there is no private speech, there is no private citizen, and there is no private property where the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct that is the government's P.O.C. The City of Ontario surrounding me at this intersection is a documented threat which is going to be used against Paul Leon and terrorists like Mike Lorenz in federal court. AGBE 173, the same against them. It's going to be used against them in court. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the evidence of the absence of any sun over the OVITT Family Community Library, where I'm present capturing video of the fake sun over me in Highway and Sons. It's gang stalking with light activity, criminal facilitation. 9ADX531 is creating light activity as well while I'm being molested with that which is not going to bounce off of your car while you're driving under what is a whole cartoon environment, speaking to your mental illness that is being simultaneously diagnosed while you're gang stalking me under a fake sun, which you are intentionally doing so, knowing who I am and where I'm located, what I'm saying and what I'm doing on my device. They also know what's going on between my legs. These are going to be prosecuted sex offenders. License 9FMD502. 8WYL567, and this is all serving to prosecute the Ontario Police Department, which is going to be a template, an example in the U.S. regarding domestic terrorism, which is very real, and it is the conduct of the Nephilim. That's a demon that's crossing path. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entity is also keeping the fake sun. Remember the food festival after 6 p.m.? And the entity has the fake sun right here while the people of the state are walking around trying and tasting all foods. This same malicious population is gang stalking me, which Paul Leon, again, funding malicious means of engaging what is targeting an American citizen, doing so in the most entertaining manners, convenient manners, such as the food festival here after 6 p.m., where this fake sun is right here on this side of the street, and those same gang members are stalking me in particular, while that fake sun's in perfect alignment with me. Not only would it not be here still, daylight savings time or not, but it's in alignment to me, where I'm standing on this sidewalk at this same property of the Ontario Town Square, the City of Ontario that's being prosecuted. And so is every business, so is every household. This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 10:22 a.m. This is the entity. You need to understand that these are murderers. While I'm documenting and the entity has already lost, they are not slowing down with regard to their obsession with stalking me. In fact, it motivates, and it is that which they're infuriating their rage, and they're being infuriated with my documentation, with the evidence. The government is inclined to commit murder under these circumstances, and that's why they're still gang stalking it, but they're doing it in front of the whole world. That is an unlawful threat, regardless of the fact that the government has lost in this endeavor to sacrifice me. That is mandating federal prison for every, this is what's going to happen. Every gang member that I documented of that agency is going to federal prison.
There will be no negotiation for it. And this is establishing that policy, showing how maniacal that they are, speaking to what is being accustomed to getting away with corrupt, despicable, and criminal activity against American citizens that they presuppose will never be able to see the light of day in order to expose them. Or if that, no one would believe them because the Ontario Police Department practiced a pattern of conduct of criminal defamation, which is also the basis why they are going to federal prison. While you're both trying to defame me on paper, while you're kidnapping and stalking me, and also claiming that I'm dead somewhere and you don't know where I'm at, while you're the one that is gang stalking me and kidnapping me, while you are looking at this evidence of the people of the state, such as Amazon Prime gang stalking with that government. This is an intricate, elaborate system. They're going to prison. All of that money, all of that manpower, it's going to be met with federal prison time. That's what domestic terrorism is. The government bullying people, serving to murder and kidnap them. And what is justice? Justice means you're losing your freedom. And that's what they are getting, and that's what they have earned, and this is what justice is going to entail, and there will be no negotiation for it. All this evidence of the entity still stalking, when they have already been proven in the Ontario Police, for example, that's the state that knows it, you're going to prison. That's your reward. That is your reward, and you are going to federal prison. So are the people of the state. P.O.C. It's currently 10:24 a.m. All right, this demon that's gang stalking me on video with the Ontario Police Department is associated with Wells Fargo, systematically stalking by place of employment. All right, this is at least I'm systematically documenting her, and she's going to prison. She's walking in Engineer Light, and she's walking into a facilitating venue where the son is already supposed. And I can prove that based on my evidence of the entity keeping a fake son literally until the end of the day, where even the work schedule will serve to put this sex offender in federal prison. But she's going to prison by this and what I've already documenting that license plate, speaking to stalking and terrorizing and psychologically torturing me and monitoring my vagina for a prolonged period of time, systematically by virtue of what is place of employment, where Wells Fargo is sharing in the gang stalking. That's why the Ontario Police are gang stalking me in relevant position, and they're all monitoring to that. I just want to be clear, there is no such thing as being humiliated when you are the one stalking me. What is there to be humiliated about when you're stalking me? What is there to be humiliated about when I am exposing the fact that you are stalking and you've been stalking? When you're obsessed with my vagina, what exactly is supposed to be humiliating about that? When you spend millions of dollars on stalking me and my vagina, which you are obsessed with, which you could not pay to be able to see it. You've done so by violating the law. What is humiliating about that? This is the failure, and this is the lie regarding following Satan and thinking that you have any sort of witchcraft that will ever confront what is the power of Christ Jesus, but moreover, the logic that is missing, the failure in syllogism regarding criminal activity and seeking to make someone feel as though they are lesser. The fact that you're exerting so much effort with so many people, so much money, and so much time is speaking to the superiority that you admit while you focus and worship me, stalking me. That includes a whole police department that is going to cease to exist based on that. And you're doing so not while you're an employee, you're doing so while you are gang stalking, which is what the facilitating venues are engaging in. They are enabling systems to exist with regard to what is criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. Your work schedule is going to be the concession regarding gang stalking me because relevant position, it's already set up, you're already surrounded with the evidence, and she is going to prison while she's gang stalking on the roads and the highways while the entity is stalking me by helicopter, and that entity is engaging what is communicating that threat, sharing in psychological torture. But she is not the only one. I just want to give you an example of how this analysis is going. This is the pattern of conduct. There is no such thing as humiliating the person that you are stalking, that you are obsessed with. Okay, that's the illusion presented by Satan, and Satan has deceived all of his followers that are the Nephilim, whom I am humiliating and prosecuting. This is the P.O.C, this is the federal prosecution of the U.S. government, otherwise known as vagina monitors. It's 10:27 a.m. at Wells Fargo, 240 North Euclid Avenue, where you know the fake sun is still aimed in alignment to me. It's right here, the OVITT Family Community Library. They're engaged in vagina monitoring all day long with the sex offenders of the city of Ontario, using all means and manner of what is utilizing the resources of the municipality to maintain surveillance. U.S.C. This is the airport that's flying over the Stater Brothers parking lot. And they're also doing so while they're committing criminal summoning with the Ontario Police at Safeco Auto LLC off of HOLT Boulevard. And here they are gang stalking right there under the hovering light source, not being set on fire because that's not the sun. And this also is not any legitimate conduct of an airport. This is evidence of criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, which is serving for what is the prosecution. Airlines such as Amazon Prime Airlines, American Airlines, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, FedEx Air, UPS, Southwest Airlines that are engaged in the pattern of conduct in concert with the people of the state who dare to engage in stalking you right in your face. This is the impunity that you're going to deal with. This is the impunity that you're going to deal with. This is the impunity that you're going to deal with. License 8EQB 875 is stalking and is a psychopath listening to everything that I'm stating while stalking. This is mental illness that is unchecked, undiagnosed, criminal activity to be prosecuted to establish precedent in the United States. And Mike Lorenz is at fault for it. He will be prosecuted for it. This is P.O.C. This is what they do at 12 o'clock, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, obsessing over me. When you cannot touch me with your headlights from that corner when I'm on this side of the property or any other. These are demons that are stalking. That's the purpose of the fake sun. Okay? They're engaging in what is sexual assault and battery right now. And I'm prosecuting. I'm prosecuting every venue. I'm prosecuting every corrupt department. I'm prosecuting the gang stalking mayor himself. Paul Leon, he's a sex offender. He is not a mayor. He is the same community of demons that are gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently, like I stated, 10:29 a.m. where there is no sun over the OVITT Family Community Library. And while that is the case, you are stalking. And you're looking at what is obsession. You're looking at that obsession, that ongoing impunity. That's not traffic. That's stalking. This is the picture of obsession. Okay? So now when the demon's show is up, when their act is up, what are they doing? They're still stalking, and now they're forced to do it in front of your face, in front of everyone, so that you can see the obsession that was there the entire time. What, pray tell, is to be humiliating about that? The demons are the ones who are humiliated. Satan, the one that wants to be me, wish that he could possess this vessel because he wants to be God. He will never be, not even close to it, so that you stalk the Lord God's followers. This is P.O.C. And the entity that does that, that's the entity that's mentally ill. They're mentally ill. They're sick with Satan. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:30 a.m. Alrighty, I want to show you what is the prosecution of the U.S. government that is indeed stalking American citizens. This is the third party engaging what is serial stalking associated with the facilitating venue of what is downtown Ontario luxury apartments, lying in wait to engage in what is sexual assault and battery at nightfall. That's what I documented, and this is sexual assault and battery during the day. That's the purpose of lying in wait, waiting to engage in what is touching with light, which is what all of the demons are doing. This is a massive orgy that the demon possessed, the perverts who are engaged in also vagina monitoring, who are committing group sex violence of sexual assault and battery, while you're being touched with that which isn't even sunlight, and that's not even the sun. I'm going to watch, I want you to watch and show you the entity that is stalking. 8XDC637, and you see the sun over the venue, but it's already here when I arrived yesterday. That's what I'm documenting, the significance of highway, Myers and Sons Highway, that's engaging in what is gang stalking, stalking with light, like the municipality is doing with regard to the abuse, the malicious engagement, and criminal monitoring via a municipality which is funded and facilitated, enabled, and shared by the official, which is gang stalking mayor. That's a domestic enemy. That's a terrorist leader, and he's going to be federally prosecuted for it. And there is no sun, this sense of stalking, including by the mayor. There's no sun, but my evidence is showing at 7, at 9, what is Kelly Blacken walking under? What is the entity doing while I am at this venue before 10 o'clock and everybody standing under that entrance is there while that fake sun is there? This is the entity that is indeed stalking, and stalking, gang stalking is not based on chronology. It's based on the maintenance of an environment where nobody's looking up in the sky, nobody's addressing you, and you're supposed to be, in the absence of knowledge, hallucinating and making up. That's the entity that is defaming you. Gang stalking you with the developmentally challenged. Those are the psychopaths that are equally special needs. 9VUB077. While the fake sun remains over me, and it is currently 10:35 a.m., the entity's been maintaining the pattern of conduct, and the fake sun is still over me while Amazon Prime is making a delivery at this venue, and the fake sun that you see above the building is reflecting off of the window on the same building, which is the same impossibility. This is the entity that's engaging in gang stalking, and there's no sun over the venue, and the entity is stalking while that environment is following you. And that's where you see the demon possessed engaging in gang stalking, and that's because they know that they're defeated. That's the Nephilim. All right, the entity, and that is also the Nephilim Securitas. Nephilim, stalking with light, engaging in sexual assault and battery. Nephilim, 9PEF293. This is the terrorism that they engage in, this chaotic environment. You're talking about there are not damages that exist yet regarding what has never been contemplated under federal law, stalking you with helicopters, stalking you with planes, stalking you with light, doing so while you're under the guise of engaging in something else. This is psychologically harmful to the ordinary target individual. You're looking at the fake sun. Help. Don't be distracted by those demons that are going to prison. And I want to be clear, so are the employees of the City of Ontario. City of Ontario, stalking with light. You know what's going on the inside of the building, and everybody in there is monitoring. And when the demon possessed, that is Satan, that is inferior, is caught, they merely engage in more and more and more of it. That's psychopathic. That's relevant to body counts. They'll murder more and more and more people. They'll engage in sexually violating more and more and more people. But what you're looking at is this fake sun that's moving as I move. It's not already here, because I'm already here at 10 o'clock on the record. So what is it that's over me? Because that's not the case today when I'm coming from another venue showing you what is Myers and Sons Highway gang stalking, Spectrum is gang stalking, Brightview is gang stalking, and every other company that I'm documenting engaging in that P.O.C, such as Convergent, okay? And this is relevant to light activity, while literally the government gives evidence for me to prosecute them. They're idiots, they're fools. This is the entity that's engaged in this conduct, and I want you to see this is where the fake sun is moving as I move, and that's not the natural environment. This is the same position that it's in after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when I'm showing you the fake sun through the windows on the inside of the library. This is the hallway, and that's where the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct. And that's where you see the entity admitting to engaging in terrorizing and stalking, defaming, lying about my being dead, lying about having a death certificate while they are gang stalking. That's the same agency, and they are going to federal prison. They also committed kidnapping with this venue that is stalking. This is the prosecution of facilitating venues as stalkers, terrorists. This is the documentation regarding prosecution of stalkers as terrorists. The impossible, okay? This is the entity that has the fake sun, and where is it hours from now? When West Coast University is inside gang stalking just like this demon, all they do is Satan puts on scrubs and is gang stalking in the same manner. It doesn't matter how old Satan is. They're all vagina monitors. Sunlight is not going to crawl into the depths back there, and then the sun is down here shining on my face on the inside. This is the entity that is stalking, and that's how stalking is recognized and prosecuted and identified. And this is a hostile one who was threatening my life. Convergent is threatening, and so is the third party operating the vehicle, and they're vagina monitors. I'm going to prosecute the company as a sex offender, as a terrorist, and they're engaging what is with the government, and they know it. That's why the helicopter. This is a slam dunk case right here. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the entity. I want you to see the fake sun is moving, remaining over me, and that's how you know that they're stalking. Okay, it's not based on chronology, which is what the demon-possessed entity wants you to focus on. Okay, it's not based on some sort of place. Nobody belongs in the facilitating environment. There's no warrant, no probable cause. Okay, and the vagina monitors are those that are under the age of majority. That's what I want you to see. They're presenting it to you. This is what the terrorists you need to know, because they're engaged in that. They're giving you this on purpose. They're monitoring the evidence, and they want you to see the demon-possessed children that are gang stalking with the people of the state, with the government. This is why Mike LORENZ is being removed from office. Okay, he is a threat to the public, engaging in what is terror, and this is not different from what's going on in other third world countries. Not different at all. This is the pattern of conduct. This is psychopathic pacing. This is also sexual violence, and it's also mental illness that's unchecked. All right, that's the P.O.C. company sharing in that. All right, the public, this is public corruption, and they're all under the fake sun well after what is the Ontario Police Department is gang stalking. Fake sun is in the same position at 6 p.m. where Convergent is here, and I'm on the side. That's relevant during daylight savings time. That's the pattern of conduct. They're injecting minor children. They want you to see what they do with minor children, and that's what you need to see. This is the entity that's engaging in what is kidnapping, because I've been exposing, and I'm going to continue to expose. This is the John Stewart property management company. I'm going to prosecute them. They're sharing in the pattern of light activity facilitation while the government is stalking by helicopter. All right, that's the entity that's engaged in that public corruption. Okay, fake sun remaining over this venue until I leave. Fake sun not remaining, but occurring over me. I did the same thing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where the gang members of the Ontario Police are standing in a group, just like Convergent is, stalking me, and the fake sun arrives with me to be here, not here in a natural environment already, because the sun is not idiosyncratic with regard to remaining over all of us everywhere, no matter how long you're there, no matter which direction you're traveling, as though the sun is also rising and setting over one building. No, that's the specific environment. That's where gang stalking is underway. Engineer light across the curb, that's a demon. Engaging criminal activity with children. License plate 9RNE122. And they engage in vagina monitoring with children. And those that share in sexual violence with children are also engaging in sexual activity with children. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that egregious, despicable, unspeakable conduct, and they do it with a straight face. They're in the engineer light. It doesn't change whether you have scrubs on. It doesn't change when you're under the age of majority. It doesn't change when you have a school district on the side of that vehicle, the logo. That's the pattern of conduct. That's the P.O.C. And this is the sex offenders of the OVITT Family Community Library maintaining surveillance outside and inside of the bathrooms. No surprise that they're gang stalking with those under the age of majority. And this is the handiwork of Paul Leon. Okay, 7FCZ688. The Ontario Police following me, flying over me at that intersection because they're triggered, being triggered with regard to it's okay because it's triggering what is federal prison. So you're triggering, you're going to prison. Period. You're talking about the gang stalking mayor, prison. He's sitting up, they're monitoring my evidence. You're going to federal prison, sir. That's what's happening. The entities engaged in this public impunity while a government is threatening your life. This is serving for murder. They're not just doing this for fun. The entity conspired my murder, lied about me being dead already, and you're gang stalking in front of the world. This is going right on the internet. That's the entity that's stalking with light activity. That's the John Stewart. I'm going to prosecute them. There is no third party that's fooling. I'm going to prosecute the property. I'm going to prosecute the residents. You're not receiving any government assistance. You're not getting any government aid to pay your rent. You're not getting any of that. The entire property building. That's the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. These are demons. Okay, Satan that is using these people don't care about where they're going to live. And they're not thinking about that now because they are actually mentally ill. They're psychopathic. And that's relevant to what is martial law. So you are separating the pattern of conduct, the behavioral conduct, because they're demon possessed. That's not a defense because they know exactly what they're doing. But this is how you have that irrational conduct, that self-destructive, that detrimental conduct that they engage in with regard to what is not helpful for what they are going to face. And that's with homelessness. That's loss of position. That's loss of your career. You're being removed from position. You're being deported out of this country. You're losing custody of your children. You're not getting any government benefits. You're not getting past a background check. You're not going to be able to get a job. In other words, you're not going to be able to afford to pay rent, and the government will not support any terrorists. It's going on your criminal record. That will not be expunged, and so on and so forth. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and they're doing so at what is 10:42 a.m., and it is underscored by the stalking by the Ontario police, who are gang stalking through all of the people of the state, including third-party companies like Convergent, including the state actors, the people of the state on the roads and the highways, while the entity is engaged in what is monitoring everything that I'm doing on my device, monitoring my vagina in restrooms, where they're pacing all around on the inside and out. And when I document that, what does the entity do? Stalking by helicopter. That African-American male that was engaged in, so he's going to prison. Okay? This is P.O.C. license 55963D4. These are demons of the city of Ontario. Going to engage in. There is no sense of normalcy. They're not ignoring. These are the demon possessed that think if we walk by calmly and don't address, then it's not happening. They're going to be diagnosed with that same conduct. You didn't forget the helicopter activity. You're not forgetting the fact that the fake sun is still here after 6 p.m. You're not forgetting the entity that's engaging in what is waging malicious assertions. It's not helping Polly-On. It's not helping the impossible light that's inside of that building. You haven't forgotten any of that. But that's what they engage in. They're delusional, and they're going to federal prison. They're going to mental asylums. They're going to be committed. This is P.O.C. This is impunity by a company and impunity by the third party. They are gangstar as one. The fake sun is remaining here, and they're sharing in what is comprehensive surveillance inside and outside of the building, and that is shown through what is the engineer light. That's P.O.C. It is currently 10:43 a.m., okay? That's the so-called magic trick, all right? I don't believe in that's wicked, but I just want to show you this is their witchcraft, though. But it's no witchcraft. It's not potent. It's not strong at all. I'm showing you how you're going to prosecute based on that malice. The fake sun is following me. I am the target. And guess what? That's triggering a federal prosecution. That's a demon that's engaging in pacing with audible activity. He's mentally ill. That's actually what you're looking at right here. And there's nothing magical about that. He's a sex offender, and he engages in more and more pacing when I'm nude. The demon possessors are obsessed with my vagina. They're sex offenders. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:44 a.m. P.O.C.
This is P.O.C. Just make sure you see that again. Here's one, and then here comes the other. And it's also following me into the bathroom as well. This is the helicopter activity and the plane activity, and the impossible light activity fills that, proving that. And this is the entity that's monitoring on this device. That's the entity conspiring murder, and that's going to prison. It's going to prison in the mental illness section, where you meet that lady every week regarding your impulse to follow people into bathrooms and keep their genitalia under surveillance and stalk and harass them and then insult them and do violence to them when they document you engaging in that. This is the entity. The more that I document, the more obsessed vagina monitors become, meaning they engage in more stalking. They engage in more and more and more of it, meaning they cling closer to me. I walk in, they walk right in behind me. That's how much the demon possessed are engaging in that. Documentation accelerates. It causes more aggression. That's a threat. That's a state. You want to prosecute. That's the end that's on the wall. Engineer light covers everything while the entity enters the restroom to keep my vagina under surveillance. Make sure that I don't make any move. No sudden moves. There you go. With the P.O.C. That's a heavy lifting predator. Homosexual. Okay. Engaging in what is sexual violence of another woman. The entity putting up out of order signs after I document males gang stalking, which they're doing on a daily basis, and they're doing it now. That's what that is, okay? That's a method of relevant positioning. It does not stop the violent sex offense. Walking into the restroom pursuant to knowledge of exactly who I am, what I'm doing, when my panties are down, the position that I'm holding while they walk into the bathroom. And this is Mike LORENZ coming into the bathroom. This is the Ontario International Airport, every airline coming into the bathroom. This is the entity that's doing so while they know what's going on inside of the stall, and they come to engage in what is relevant positioning. And it's a threat while you're witnessing that entity engaging in that. And that threat is again analyzed not only in the fake sun, but in this environment with regard to sex offenders that are preying upon my genitalia inside of the bathroom space. OVITT Family Community Library that still has the fake sun over the building. And everybody upstairs, including Brianna and John and Alexander and Mickey, and Natasha, and all the demons that are employed that are pacing in concert with the entity that's stalking my planes and helicopters, are sharing what is monitoring my vagina while they're looking at every single last picture, aware of everything I'm putting on the internet. The reason why you're detailing this is because they're going to prison. You're going to prison for monitoring my vagina. P.O.C. This is bathroom monitoring in the specific environment. It's 1:46 p.m. All right, this is the exact same light activity, by the way, inside of the bathroom. See how my shadow trails in front of my person on both sides as well. Absolutely impossible light activity. These are demons that are inside of a venue, which is a facilitating venue for surveillance. Surveillance that's underway at all places, at all times. And the entities engaging what is maintaining engineered light, walking into the bathroom. That's the crime scene for violent sex offenders who hold the hands of children while they're stalking. Okay, this is the P.O.C. And the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. with the fake sun sitting over the same building. Just sex offenders, predators who do very weird things, very perverted things with minor children, gang stalk with them. This is the entity that thinks that it's clever. Engineer light creeping around in corners of the building. Absolutely impossible light, inexplicable on its face, as inexplicable as the fake sun, which has nothing to do with this. That's cozy in the corner. While you're in that path, stalking. This is the P.O.C. This is all engineer light. The entity maintaining engineer light, flying about inside while you're this is engineer light. Path is focusing in on a book. Okay, they sit around masturbating to my vagina that I did not give any consent for them to keep under surveillance. This is a psychopath. All right, the same psychopath that stalks in helicopters. So let's look at the fake sun while everybody at the circulation desk is vagina monitoring while looking at a computer desktop. Those are the demons that are engaging in the P.O.C. They're all engaging in crossing a path. They're monitoring on communication devices, and they're psychopaths while they don't look at you and address you. Tracking my steps is stalking. This is the same crime scene that Convergent is gang stalking with the vehicle. And she's creating light activity just like Convergent was this morning. Her shadow moving across this light activity. Peculiarized light is a method of light activity. Convergent is providing that, while the Ontario police are stalking, flying over this same building. All right, this is the same exact crime scene. These are psychos walking in and out. That's called pacing. And the environment that remains the same for gang stalking purposes. Everybody out here, every business, every household, the city, the U.S. government is being prosecuted for keeping my vagina under surveillance. The entities engage in this pattern of conduct, and it's exceedingly violent. It's also psychotic. The entity is obsessed with stalking and is obsessed with stalking my vagina as well. And that's why I speak to it in such explicit terms, because that's the graphic nature of the sex offense committed by the government. That included helicopter activity today, plane activity today, which is concerning what's going on in the bathroom inside of this venue where the fake sun is still present at what is 1:52 p.m. That third party is doing the exact same thing that the demons driving at the same turn circle were doing hours earlier. This is a crime scene, and so is the bathroom. All right, the entities engage in this pattern of conduct while they are committing what is an egregiously violent sex offense that they are humiliated for being exposed for. They are the ones that are leading lives that are entirely fake. Their mental illness is on full display. This is pacing. Vagina monitor. 7LGF D47. Vagina monitor.
That's a white woman stalking a black woman's vagina, 8WDE089, and she's a psychopath, impulsive light moving all over the place. These are not, again, actual, well, they're not Christ followers at all. They're Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're vagina monitors. Okay, that's the entity that's engaged in that. Securitas doing the exact same thing hours earlier under the fake sun. Sexual assault and battery. She's a psychopath. She's stalking with light. This is the entity that's engaged in that. This is relevant with regard to every celebrity, every politician that knows what my vagina looks like, and I've never met them. While they sit around watching on the dark web somewhere, what is this criminal system that the U.S. government has been practicing for decades? The entities engaged in what is the sex offense of bathroom monitoring, and it is insight regarding the sex offender that are the demon-possessed, the Nephilim, who are Fifth California. There is no exception. There's no neighborhood, there's no corner, there's no intersection, there's no business, there's no household that's not engaging in this pattern of conduct. Okay, Paul Leon is keeping my vagina under surveillance. Literally, while you see this video and the maintenance of this fake son, he is leaving office. He's being impeached. He's being removed. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that, and this is relevant to the entity, those that are celebrities that are keeping my vagina under surveillance, sitting around masturbating and having sex and infecting each other while you're monitoring me and chanting my name. You're infecting yourselves. And I want to be clear, you're bringing curses on yourselves, including while I document your sex offense in Ontario, California. This is the entity that's sharing in that. The entity is one. You're looking at what is Satan using a multiplicity of faces. I'm prosecuting is referred to as the people of the state, the U.S. government. They go by many names that you support regarding buying their albums and watching them on social media and subscribing to them. Many of them are politicians that you vote for and you listen to their disingenuous rhetoric while they're engaging in what is things such as vagina monitoring, which is why sex offenders are walking into the bathroom. This is all pacing. They're all demons. Looking to the left and the right, they're walking under a fake sun and an engineer light. This is the entirety of that system, and they're engaged in that pattern of conduct together. Satan doesn't have a race or age or income bracket. Satan doesn't even have a life. They're sitting up stalking me in a library. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. The demons that engage in kidnapping, they're going to prison. That's the long and short of it. That fake sun has nothing to do with that engineer light cozy on the corner over here, where they're all engaged in what is conspicuous surveillance, a federal offense. Kelly Blacken, Talia, Jennifer, Mickey, John, they're all engaged in facilitation as employees that are gang stalking. It has nothing to even do with that fake sun. It's direct evidence of surveillance. And surveillance in the bathroom, the entity, the more that they're documented, the more aggressive. All right, the more hostile and aggressive that they become. The entity is engaged in what is keeping a straight face, and that's supposed to hide the fact that they're literally chasing me down, including in bathrooms, concerning my vagina. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that is mentally ill. That mental illness is evident through their pattern of conduct, stalking as strangers, superficial only, and also stalking in places as absurd as the bathroom. This is P.O.C.
All right, it is still Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. It's currently 8:21 p.m. And this is documentation, as you've been listening to, the evidence that the government is keeping me under surveillance and is literally stalking me, and is also engaging what is stalking and terrorizing me because I am documenting it. On top of that, this is all proven through my documents, my documentation, which again is establishing that the government is following me, stalking me from place to place, including inside of the bathroom at Facilitating Venue OVITT Family Community Library. And to that end, the entity that is engaged in stalking me is doing so on a 24-hour basis. And so this is why I document the predators that are lying in wait and stalking me in the middle of the night while I'm traveling from place to place, while I am leaving the library and walking to the square, and you are necessarily waiting to engage in what is the customary molestation with light. This is what this third party driving the Tesla is engaging in, like I documented last night. And the reason why I document that is also to make sure that I'm documenting in order to encapsulate what is that which you can only imagine, but you are inadequately in a position to be able to, in the abstract, understand to the best of one's ability, convey the threat to the life of an American citizen, the threat that I face with regard to the government stalking me, the government that is obsessed with stalking me as well. Okay, so this is not just criminal activity. This is an obsession with criminal activity because of the mental illness of this entity that is engaging in conduct that it is held accountable for under the law, but this is exceeding their concern for violating the law because of their mental illness. This is an entity that is, in many ways, in every regard actually, more or less not even concerned about the fact that they will be serving time in federal prison, and up until the point that they are in that circumstance, this entity is fully determined to continuously stalk and pursue and harass, which is in their mind accomplishing what is witchcraft which they plotted in the first place to be able to take my life. And now they are engaging in this conduct with regard to what is an emergency that they find themselves to be in, because their ongoing system of witchcraft, which is gang stalking, is not working against me. And that's proven through the fact that I am still alive and functioning well as of February 25th, 2026, maintaining this body of evidence. But the entity is still engaging in what is an ongoing delusional effort, even though they practice witchcraft and have murdered plenty of people, and their witchcraft being successful against those. They know exactly what it is and what it looks like and what it appears like when they are successful, and they know that this is not the case, and the entity is still continuing. Under the law, and with regard to the practice of medicine, you are going to diagnose that delusional and criminal conduct, very highly malicious and psychopathic at the same time. And you're also going to prosecute under the law with regard to impunity, while the entity is also, based on the nature of the crime of surveillance, keeping the evidence that as you are doing so, engaging in that with knowledge that it's being documented. You know that the world is watching you, and that did not stop you or slow you down either. Okay, so this is relevant to that ongoing threat, which is what I deliberately capture, and in all the ways in which that I capture it. And it's informing why people like Jason Isaac Fields are going to prison, why people like Tracy Banks are going to federal prison, and why the entity is not in any position where you can unilaterally change your position with regard to violating the law in the first place, or having a reason to violate the law because there's no other way. That doesn't exist. Regardless of the fact that no one's ever prosecuted federal group stalking and monitoring gang stalking terrorism in the U.S., regardless of the fact that it is essentially a cult that once you're in, there's no getting out of it, that does not create what is for an American citizen subject to it, like myself, an ability for you to remove yourself from what are the penalties under the law for targeting that American citizen. It does not change. So this is the entity that's engaging in that, and that unlawful threat is what I remain subject to, and it is also informing why the list of those whose name I know, those who defame my character in court, those who have engaged in what is criminally defaming my character, both in their position that they've abused in the government in one role or another, and also those that are third parties, which you know are also playing a role with regard to the government, because they are not private citizens, they are third parties engaging in the government's pattern of conduct. It is public corruption. With regard to that vicarious and direct engagement, however, you are understanding what is the formula, the warranted basis for what is federal prison, and that is literally the law. In the same way that if you have the adequate elements met for first-degree murder, premeditation, you're going to be convicted of first-degree murder, okay? And that is going to result in, if not the death penalty, then a lifetime, if not a majority of your life confined. This is that type of policy. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and that is not anything to be negotiated with, and you're mindful of the unlawful threat that an American citizen remains subject to, and that's exactly the purpose, the dual purpose of my evidence. All right, and not only showing and proving that the entity is stalking me, but showing the ways in which the extreme measures that they go to do so, the demented tactics that they employ to do so, with knowledge that it's being documented. You're so psychotic, you're so obsessed, you're so mentally ill that you are doing it, even though you're doing it on camera, you're doing it in front of the world. That's the entity that is determined. That's an unlawful, that's an unprecedented stalker that is threatening your life. And it is the government. Okay, so I do want to document that's prefacing what I want to document now. I did take images of what is a battery that I am suffering, and the entity is, like I stated, stalking me 24 hours a day, and that's why I'm showing you when I'm sleeping at the bus stop, when I'm sleeping at the DeBoer Professional Building, when I am sleeping at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, when I am sleeping at the in front of the
the hometown barber shop on the bench in front. In other words, when I'm sleeping outside, when I'm sleeping at the Ontario Town Square, I'm outside, I'm exposed, and the entity is stalking me. They're flying over me, stalking me all night. They're listening to me breathe. They're listening and monitoring my digestion even while I'm sleeping. They're listening and monitoring my heartbeat. They're monitoring, like I stated, things like my breathing pattern, and also with regard to whether I'm in a REM state of sleep and my level of consciousness. They're molesting my person with engineered light while they obsess over me. They are demons who are stalking. This is what they're doing all night long, and the entity is spending millions of dollars on doing that, okay? And this is while an entity of demons that are inside and outside of California, inside and outside of the United States, are invested in the city of Ontario, maintaining that surveillance regarding me. And they are all aware of everything that is documented about me, everything that is occurring. The demons that are stalking in the library are the same demon-possessed entity that are in other parts of the country. They maintain ongoing uniform knowledge about me in real time because they're demons. That's also relevant to the surveillance using technology. They're maintaining that ongoing shared knowledge as well. But I just want to be clear, this is in every regard satanic. Okay, so that's speaking to the vastness of this system, and that is getting directly to the threat, which is commensurate with that ongoing vastness of that. And I've proven the demonic nature based on the pattern of conduct, the engineered light, the fake sun. This is all manner of supernatural, even the amplified audible activity. The fact that you have a behavioral pattern shared by people that are not getting up together and rehearsing. They're not having a conference about, we're going to do this, and it's not with regard to some choreographed dance. However, it is perfectly choreographed with regard to the entity's ongoing behavioral pattern of stalking in the specific manners, in that specific environment, in those very specific ways. Stalking with light, stalking with noise, stalking in the path, doing so at all places and at all times on behalf of the government. The entity is committing a battery while I am at the Ontario Town Square at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where I've also shown the government is indeed responsible for any and everything happening. The government is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and the government includes the people of the state. So as I document license plates, as I document businesses, the government that is stalking by helicopter is only incriminating the people of the state who will be subject to what are their own federal prosecutions while they share in the government's pattern of conduct. That is, again, the woefully unprepared that inject themselves into the video while I'm getting the people of the state, and they're always confirming that yes, they are indeed engaged in the government's pattern of conduct. There's the commercial plane. Yes, they are indeed in the government's pattern of conduct. There's the helicopter activity flying right over my head, flying over while I'm capturing. There's the fake sun, and there's the entity stalking with impossible light. There's the entity gang stalking by whatever department in the city. The entity is providing confirmation with regard to corroborating evidence, which is direct in nature to prosecute the people. That is the only role that evidence serves. The entity is under no circumstances, and nor can you, nor under any circumstances shall you interfere in like you're saving the people from the state from being prosecuted. Oh no, we're falling on the sword. It's ARCO. No, that's not happening. Every time they're engaging in criminal summoning while I'm documenting the people are being prosecuted. It's proving that they are indeed engaged in the pattern of conduct, that they are indeed engaged in surveillance on behalf of that government that starts stalking by helicopter, that starts stalking by plane, that starts sounding sirens. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that. And while I am at the Ontario Town Square, while I have already fully established that the City of Ontario is maintaining surveillance, including 24 hours a day, targeting me with impossible light, which is speaking to specific knowledge about who I am, where I am, what I'm doing at the moment that I'm doing it, and doing so with regard to also the fake sun documentation and the government stalking. The entity is committing a battery, and I took a picture of this is the physical harm of my person. That's what I mean by battery. And I took a picture of the bottom of my foot, where it appears as though the entity that is obsessed, I told you about what the entity doing, what the entity does, what the entity is doing, stalking me in bathrooms, placing cameras in my home, placing cameras even in Tracy Banks's venue to obsess over me, placing cameras literally at any location. This is what the entity does in their vehicle, the people of the state putting cameras in their vehicles, parking them near me, putting cameras on buildings, the surveillance cameras that the people of the state maintain on their facilitating venues. That's the entity that is engaging in shared surveillance. It's not private property. This is a unified, uniform system of surveillance. The entity is engaging in what is obsessing over me, my bodily fluids, stalking me in bathrooms. If I throw a tampon away, if I throw a used pad away, they dig in the trash can and they literally suck it like a lollipop. This is an entity that goes through and rummages through my dirty clothes, whatever it is. These are demons that are engaging in seeking to consume whatever it is that is expelled from my body. And this is the mentally ill that are demon possessed, and they are engaging in what is that form of what is also seeking me out, wanting to literally, like I said, if they could, they would literally engage in all manner of violating my person. They want to be not just physically on me, they would like to be inside of my vessel. This is an entity that is psychotic. These are demons. This is not human behavior. And it's also engaging in cannibalistic, wanting to consume other human beings. This is the satanic behaviors of literally those that include Tracy Banks. Literally those that include Jason Isafield. You're looking at them, they portray themselves one way, but these are animals. This is not human conduct. Okay. And also these are psychopaths that have been deceived into thinking that it's science, deceived into thinking that it is beneficial, that it's normal, that it's healing, that it is the practice of witchcraft, that it's accomplishing something spiritually for them, when they are nothing other than mentally ill, consuming the feces of another, consuming the bodily fluids of another person, seeking out their used items in the trash can, in toilets, in their homes. This is what the demon possessed are doing. The same ones that I'm naming, and that are working at the library, that are driving and operating Omnitrans buses, that are getting on and off, that are walking around me at the working at the Ontario City Hall, trying to look as dignified and noble and honorable and healthy and disinterested and ignorant about me and everything that I'm talking about. Those are the same ones that are trifling, rummaging through trash cans, trying to suck on the latest tampon that I used. I'm not exaggerating. The mental illness is that which is designed to appear as though it doesn't exist. You're all able to witness it while they're all under the fake sun trying to keep a straight face. Okay? This is the reality of what they are actually engaged in, what their actual mindset is, how disturbed it is, how focused it is. And this is a threat to me. And this is relevant to what I'm subject to while I'm sleeping. I went to sleep with no soreness, no physical pain whatsoever. And I woke up with my left foot feeling sore. Okay. Now I looked at the bottom of my foot tonight because I was walking on it all day, ignoring it for the most part. But I'm looking at it and there is a hole there. My foot has been punctured and it's red, and it looks as though I'm going to say exactly what it looks like. It looks like the entity punctured the bottom of my foot that would have necessarily been while I was asleep, so as to perhaps take a sample of my blood. This is what comes to mind. The entity injecting things into my body. That as well. These are the threats posed while these psychopaths are in the library, and you're looking at them on surveillance cameras. You'll see them in the book stacks. They're walking back and forth. They mix that in with stacking books like they're working. They mix that in with checking out books and DVDs. They'll mix that in. All they're doing is maintaining surveillance around me. And they're doing that while they're all obsessing over me. They're doing that while the fake sun, which is so that you are sure that that's exactly what they're doing, while the fake sun, like I documented again today, while Convergent, while the Ontario Police Department, while the City of Ontario, as I focus in on just one venue because it's happening at the Stater Brothers as well. The entity kept the fake sun for a series of hours. That's where the entity is stalking in the sky space and all around on the ground, maintaining that pattern of conduct. And then the fake sun remains over me as I go east 1 mile, where the fake sun is then setting, which is what I documented, punctuating that with what is stalking by commercial actors like Myers and Sons Highway Safety, Convergent, that are engaging in what a criminal surveillance using commercial means to do so, commercial stalking essentially. They're engaged in surveillance, and these businesses are created. These businesses are utilized to engage in it. These businesses are making money off of surveillance with the U.S. government. And that's what Convergent is doing under the 10 a.m. fake sun. That fake sun is still there as I'm documenting at 2 hours later. And I'm capturing it while I'm sitting at computer station number 1, and that fake sun after 4 p.m. While that's for it to be shining through the front door is for it to still be, first of all, at such a low elevation, lower than what it is while it's over the top of my head at the front entrance at 10 in the morning and 12 in the afternoon. But it's so low that it's shining through. It's so low and close that it's shining through what are the doors, and it's aiming light onto the desk where the demon possessed are talking to. What are John, the employees that are pacing around gang stalking like psychopaths with the Ontario Police Department by helicopter. These are the employees that are gang stalking with the patrons who are in the venue helping to keep me under surveillance. Okay, the entity's engaging in that, and that's relevant to the psychopaths who are obsessed with literally my bodily fluids and committing what are batteries. And this is how you know that the federal government is not conducting an investigation with regard to looking out for my best interests. There's no protective order over me. They're not seeking to protect me from harm. They're not stopping the entity from physically harming and from stealing my property and from kidnapping me. They're not stopping the entity from engaging in this pattern of conduct in ways including such as putting who knows inside of my body, okay? Because it looks as though I took a picture of it and a needle was put inside of the bottom of my foot. And if you recall a movie, I forgot what it's called, but there's a movie and it's about, I want to say Jennifer Gardner. I can't remember the actress's name, but she's got a stalker, and her stalker, it's a big, tall male, and while she's asleep, he's hiding under her bed, and while she's asleep, he comes out and he puts a needle in between her toes. Okay, that's supposed to be inconspicuous, and he does whatever, keeps her asleep, and she's unaware of the fact, and it's also in between her toes so that she doesn't feel it. This is what immediately came to mind when I looked at the bottom of my foot, even actually before I looked at it, and this is what I'm confirming is the case. It looks as though I didn't step on anything. There's no puncture, there's no hole in my shoe. Okay, there's nothing that I'm gonna step on. I didn't step on like a 6-foot dagger, okay? I would have noticed that, and it was not there before I went to sleep, documenting that African-American male gang stalking and then going to the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. That was at 11 at night. I went to sleep perfectly fine, no holes in my shoes and no holes in my foot. And the entity is engaging what is obsessing over me, and the stalking by the Ontario International Airport is direct evidence of it. The stalking that you see today by the Ontario Police Department by helicopter is evidence of it today. The stalking by the people of the state that are psychopaths obsessively, they look at the evidence, they know how damning it is, and you know what that mentally ill psychopath decides to do? I'm still going to storm into that bathroom because I refuse to stop stalking you. I refuse to admit through my behavior that you already won and that you've proven that I'm stalking, because the demon-possessed never intended to be exposed. And that is literally the ultimate concession for the demon-possessed. This is Satan that's operating over a people. Now, that doesn't change reality. The entity has lost, and I will be prosecuting, including the federal government that has not been protecting me, the federal government that is aiding in what is my demise, prolonging what is my being exposed to the system. That's all relevant for what is their prolonged term in sentencing in prison. You're prolonging this, but you're not getting out of prison. So this is how this is working. And this is the entity, you're talking about damages. It's not going to go away for Jason Fields when I get all of the money that I'm going to get with regard to damages and with regard to federal prosecution. He's not avoiding prison. He's going to prison. Okay? This is the entity that cannot pay its way out of the harms that I've documented. It is incalculable. It is incomprehensible. Okay, this is the entity that is, and I am letting you know, I'm making it known now, justice will not stop at what is me getting what is a monetary means of justice, which is what I'm entitled to in the first place because it was stolen from me. I'm outside subject to what is a battery in the middle of the night, people poking my feet with needles because this entity stole from me, and this is the position that they wanted me to be in so that they could do that, so they could inject me with something and then claim that I had a drug overdose, claim that I died from HIV, claim that some sort of poisoning from drug abuse, because I'm a prostitute, because I'm some criminal out here. This is literally that I killed myself. This is literally the formula for that, what they're doing, okay? You're going to prison for that, Jason Fields. You're not getting out either. This is the entity that would claim that you're engaging in an investigation. I just want to be clear. This has teetered off if there ever was a legitimate investigation, and I contend that there was not. Jason Isaac Fields has been gang stalking me since I met him at what is West Valley, excuse me, not West Valley, at San Bernardino Valley College. Okay, in San Bernardino, California. This is before he started taking steroids. This is before he had a growth spurt. This is when he looked like he was about 14 years old with an oversized forehead. Okay, and he's gang stalking. How can I help you? No.
That's the people of the state gang stalking me. This is the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, and he's been gang stalking me, and doing so with everyone that I've ever had any dealings with has gone through Tracy Banks. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is engaging in what is ongoing targeting, and is doing so while the claim would be that there's an investigation that's going on, and that's what is that's what is the ongoing purpose for why the Ontario police have been permitted to engage in terrorism. The Ontario police are terrorists that handle the U.S. government's pattern of conduct in the state, in the city. That's why they're gang stalking with impunity, while they know that the feds are looking at that because they share in that pattern of conduct. That's why. Because the federal government is engaging in targeting me together. The entity is engaging in what is trying to make the problem, that is Erica Spencer and the P.O.C, go away. I'm not going anywhere, and they are going to prison. That's that return to sender. Jason Isaac Fields is not an investigator. He is a stalker. He is not a colleague. He's not a partner. He's not a hero. He's a demon-possessed gang stalker, a glorified one, calling himself what is an official that's engaging in an investigation, which is nothing other than a means of providing an official abuse of power with regard to having some sort of means of permission to stalk me. Oh, I'm not stalking, I'm investigating. That's how this corrupt system operates, and he's going to prison. The federal government is watching this entity put needles into my foot, watching this entity poison my food, watching this entity kidnap me in the middle of the night, watching this entity stalk me in helicopters, hoping that psychological torture will take over my mind state and I will come across as crazy and everyone will then just write me off. These officials, including Jason Fields, are going to prison. Okay? And they don't have a defense. The fact that you have ever claimed to be investigating is your admission for unlawful surveillance, facilitating the pattern of conduct. Period. The entity that's engaging in terrorism, your job isn't to sit behind and watch. Your job is to interfere, stop it, and remove an American citizen whose life is under threat. You don't sit back and watch the entity murder the targeted individual. That's not an investigation. That's an accomplice. This is what the U.S. government has been engaging in. And the entity punctured my foot last night, and I took a picture of it. It's a red mark. It's right in between my big toe and my second toe, and it is sore to the touch. And it is relevant to, it feels as though like when you go and you get one of those shots where they test you, they prick your finger. It looks like one of those. That's what it feels like, and it hurts. Okay, the entity stuck something in my foot last night, and I want to document that because this is relevant to the harms that I'm subject to while I'm sleeping outside, which is this entity's fault. This is the entity that does this so that they can murder people, so that they can have you surrounded, so that you are in an unstable state, with which they also use to defame you while you are being targeted, and that's the reason for your financial instability. That's the reason for you're being in a circumstance where that entity abuses what is authority that they don't even have under the laws because of surveillance in order to do things like what this entity has done, what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, what the Ontario Police, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, what the U.S. government has engaged in, seeking to criminally defame my character, stealing my identity, trying to steal my money, trying to do so by trying to depict me as someone who is highly unstable when I have been the person that everyone knows that it can, well, now you know because of my evidence, but this has been the person that I've been from the beginning, and this is why the government went so ferociously with a campaign trying to establish the exact opposite about me. That's an unlawful threat, and you're going to prison. You're not an investigator. I am the only one maintaining a competent investigation, and for me to get any sort of compensation is not going to relieve you from prison. You are delusional. You're as delusional as these demons that are seeking to suck on my used tampons if you think that you're avoiding prison, because you are not. You're not going to come in the middle of the night and I'm going to go away somewhere with you. You're not a hero. I'm not going off anywhere with you. I'm not going to reconcile with you after you've been having anal sex with Tracy Banks and you claim, oh, you never loved her. You were just doing it for the investigation. Well, I've been gang stalked and living outside for years, and nobody but Christ Jesus has been keeping me alive. You're delusional and you're going to prison. That's not an investigation. I have maintained the P.O.C. in order to prove that.
This public corruption that I am exposing includes the federal government that has not been engaging in any investigation. It is literally the interest of those inside the U.S. and outside of the U.S. to take my life. This entity knows who I am. They know what it is that I am here to expose about the demon-possessed who have positions in government in this country, who make up a population in this country, and who are also coming into this country as immigrants that's serving a political and an ongoing corrupt purpose with regard to what Satan is doing. Okay, and it's also relevant to what's going on abroad. Overseas, it's going on with regard to how you are being conditioned with those who are on television, those who are in social media, conditioning your mind. These are demons who are spiritually attacking, and they know who the Lord God has called to speak on that. And this is why there has been such a tremendous, concerted, expensive, extreme campaign regarding targeting little old me, who has been minding her business until I found out and discovered that I was being targeted, and I have to undertake an investigation. And this investigation includes the U.S. government, the federal government, that has been targeting me, not investigating me. And that's why to date, I still remain under threat. And that's why the entity is permitted to engage in what is puncturing my foot. Now, if someone were to inject some disease into my body, what is the federal government going to do about that? Is that going to help them when they're claiming that I'm the one that's infecting people with HIV? Is that supposed to help Tracy Banks and Jason Fields' case? Because that's what they need. That's what they're counting on. This is an entity that's engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct, and they are engaging in what is posing an unlawful threat, an unprecedented threat, a threat that has never before been contemplated under federal law, because terrorism by the U.S. government suffered by an American citizen has never been proven. Monitoring, which people don't even know what it is. It's demonic. And it's criminal surveillance. You have to stalk someone 24 hours a day to monitor them. And the only thing that is monitoring is a satanic spirit. It is the demon possessed. It is the Nephilim. And they're engaged in all manner of extreme acts. And I want to document the entity committing a battery, this puncturing the bottom of my foot. They're doing so while I'm sleeping in my sleeping bag. I'm sleeping at the Ontario Town Square. They're doing this overnight, and I discover it the next morning. My foot doesn't immediately hurt when I start walking to Stater Brothers in the morning. My foot starts hurting around 10, 11 o'clock. And this is after walking on it. Okay. This is after, not being able to rinse my foot off. Understand that this is the reality. I'm walking on my foot. So you're puncturing holes in my body, and there's no sterilization of that. I'm walking on it as well. And this is what I'm looking at. So I took a picture of that, and this is relevant to, this is not just the entity that's no small thing. This is this is an unprecedented threat, because the entity is engaging in what is a threat that is something that could amount to anything. They could inject some sort of weird formula to cause some sort of defect in your brain, some sort of poison, and then make it seem like you had a heart attack, inject some sort of disease in your body, taking your bodily fluids as well, which is equally unlawful. It's a battery. I'm just speaking to what is all manner of a threat. And because of the vastness of that threat, you're talking about, regardless of what it actually is, it's under all circumstances an unlawful touching, which the government is engaging in. Nobody's protecting me. This is not an investigation. This is I want to be clear. The U.S. government would much rather me go away rather than them have to concede to doing all manner of unlawful things, because the government that I'm prosecuting in the city of Ontario and the state of California is also the federal government as well. And there is plenty that they do not want to have to, that they are necessarily, in other words, having to speak to, that is being exposed because of the fact that I'm still breathing. It is serving to benefit their corrupt purposes, their criminal acts that they've already committed by virtue of the fact that I am still breathing. Okay, so understand the motive behind that and who it benefits. And it would be the same one claiming that they're investigating. You're not investigating anything. And it is, if you were to claim that it's an unreasonable, under all circumstances, I just want to be clear right now, you don't have an argument. I already win. Okay, with regard to the legal argument, it's an unreasonable extension regarding what is already known beyond probable cause regarding what it is that I'm subject to. And I have remained subject to it. And there is also evidence showing that the U.S. government has sought to prolong my suffering while they're sitting around puncturing my body and stalking me in bathrooms and trying to seek out my bodily fluids. These animals that are trying to cloak themselves as human beings while they're engaging in what is non-human conduct because of what is their condition, their obsession over me, while they're seeking to engage in what is barbaric practices, and then trying to kill me off so that I don't tell anybody about it. All right, they are going to prison for it. This is federal prison. While the entity is gang stalking me and molesting me with impossible light at the Ontario Town Square, I can't walk across the street without a sex offender touching all over me with engineer light, monitoring and stalking. The entity is going to federal prison. Okay, and you're talking about years that I've been subject to. My documentation literally begins as a matter of evidence in December of 2000, before that. Jonathan Burnett is committing kidnapping in May of 2019. That's the Ontario Police Department. The entity is engaging in what is kidnapping of my written documentation as early as 2018. This is speaking to 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 8 years. And you're going to prison for longer than 8 years. I just want to let you know that, just to give you a real life example. You're going to federal prison for longer than 8 years. All right. This is the P.O.C. and I took pictures of it. It's not like I want to share pictures of my body parts or even a picture of my foot, but this is evidence speaking to those. I am the only person, in other words, that is in the position to advocate on my own behalf. I have to prove and document what this entity is doing and what it is that this entity is responsible for under the law and reasonably. Okay, under the law, and also under any circumstances as I advocate on behalf of those that are subject to it, those that have already died, and the sort of policies that you need with regard to what they did not have the ability to enforce. What you are going to do with regard to this sort of threat that I'm facing. What does justice look like when you're facing when a government is engaging in this, and the government is responsible for my body being punctured in the middle of the night. The government is responsible for a police department stalking me with impunity by helicopter because I'm documenting the people to say, which I'm going to continue to do. You're going to federal prison. The Ontario police is being dealt with. Those are nothing other than little worker bees. They're already dealt with. The entity is going, there are levels. It's local, state, federal. You're going to prison. It is a massive operation to try to take me out. And with regard to justice, there will be a massive amount of people who are going to federal prison. I didn't pick the pool of defendants. This entity picked me. And justice is not going to be limited because of that. I hope that is clear. This is an entity that's engaging in what is puncturing my foot. And this is an unlawful threat. It's an unprecedented threat. All manner of anything could have been injected or and taken from my body. And this is obviously without my consent while I'm not even conscious. And this is relevant to the entity that is gang stalking in the way in which I'm showing. While the Ontario police are stalking me by helicopter, they're being federally prosecuted for the ongoing battery that I'm subject to. Mike LORENZ is being federally prosecuted as a terrorist leader. Paul Leon is being prosecuted as a terrorist leader. These are, again, this is the exact reason why you are being prosecuted while a population is targeting. And then with regard to this is what an entity, the extent to which they have gone to try to conceal. You're not concealing anything, but the entity is still, again, you're dealing with Satan. Satan, who is, until the day that he is sentenced to hell, that day, he's going to continue to pursue. That's what the entity is doing. They're gang stalking until the day that they're dragged into court. And there are people that are going to prison for that. That ongoing determination to stalk and terrorize me, regardless of the consequences, Jason Fields is going to prison for it. Okay, you're acting as an entity, sweetie pie. You're going to federal prison for what you are a part of, and you do not cease to be a part of that entity. This is not some spiritual Hunger Games. Now, what you've initiated, you've made money off of sex trafficking me. You made money off of stalking, gang stalking. You paid other people to do that. You stole my money and my identity. You try to marry me on paper because that's how valuable I am. while defaming my character at the same time. That's quite some witchcraft you got going on there, and you're going to federal prison for it. That's not an investigation. And it's unreasonable to contend that you did all of that to continue with an investigation while I'm suffering. That's not an investigation. No, that's not what you do. You're a part of the crime. And you are only carrying on that untenable narrative, because you're a fool. Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you. Alrighty, it's 8:58 p.m. Myra's letting me know that. And I want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is engaging in what is a battery. And so that is taken, like I said, I don't want to share pictures of my body parts, but I have to because I have to document this. And this is relevant to any and all harms that I suffer at all times. All right, it is currently 8:58 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is the Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Senior Center. The entity is stalking at the street lights that psychopathic faces they're monitoring together. And they're hovering over the senior citizen complex. I just want to be clear, from this direction, you have to continue west to be hovering. Then they're flying down lower at a lower elevation, repeating that same conduct over the Stater Brothers parking lot. This is the absurdity of stalking and then documenting the fact that an airport is stalking. And this is also the reason for, and the prosecution, the shutdown. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down as a sex offender, as a terrorist, and also the mentally ill that are incompetent. They cannot be trusted with regard to the mentally ill that are maintaining an airport in the state of California. The Ontario International Airport is indeed a national security threat. The mentally ill are maintaining this criminal system using the commercial airline planes and using the airport itself. The entity is heightening in elevation, but then you're trying to reconcile what they're doing over the Stater Brothers parking lot. That's the psychotic pattern of conduct. This is why you document the demon possessed, because they're highly unintelligent. Okay, they're just malicious. They're not smart though. Okay, the entity's engaging that third party that's driving around with no headlights on. They're still stalking in the path. Remember, it's an engineer light. While they monitor my documentation, engaging there, it's impossible to contradict or rebut the evidence of what they are doing. You will never make sense of the fake sun. Everybody already knows that you're stalking with light. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:07 p.m. The entity is indeed stalking environment. My shadow is traveling across here, but let me give you here you go. Here's my shadow here, upright over here. Securitas is gang stalking on the shopping, excuse me, it looks like a shopping cart, on the golf cart. They're monitoring. Here's my shadow up here. Here's another one beside it. Here's my shadow up right here on this wall. Securitas is stalking in the path with light. All right, and they do, when they drive light, you see that little spotlight? They molest my person with impossible light activity. And they're engaging in what is sexual assault and battery while they do so. They are demons that are operating vehicles, operating planes, operating helicopters, and it's the specific environment. It's as supernatural as the fake sun over this entrance. As you see, during the 10 a.m. hour, I step outside and it's still over the entrance. After 12 p.m., I step out after 4 p.m. and it's still there at the same entrance. They're demons. You're looking at demonic activity, and I'm removing what is the veil so you're aware that demonic activity is supposed to appear real to you. Okay, that person is real. That light source in the sky is real, but it's not the natural environment. They're demons, and this is demonic. And I'm going to prosecute for sexual violence. I'm going to prosecute for stalking. I'm going to prosecute for what is surveillance by the mentally ill who are demon possessed. It is currently, again, 9:08 p.m. This is where the airport is flying, deviating far from the airport to then hover here. And then you're also mindful of what they're doing when they're flying north of this location over the ARCO gas station, over the bus stop, when they're stalking over there, over Tracy Banks's Woodside Senior Apartments, which I documented them stalking me there. When they're flying west to the Stater Brothers parking lot, what are you doing there? Flying over the entrance when I'm at the front entrance of the Stater Brothers. What are you doing there if this is where you're taking off? Which is not a takeoff. It's miles from there, but this is that inconsistency. And these are the demons that just pace around. No brains. They don't have a strategy. It's not organized. They never plan to be exposed. They don't have a plan for this. This is the time that Satan is being exposed and prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:09 p.m. Rose up from right here behind the Ontario City Hall. Allied Universal, you'll see my pictures. Allied Universal, stalking with light. Very terrorizing conduct, stalking with light, surrounding me around the Ontario City Hall. Listen to that. That's demonic. That's not a takeoff. They're demons. How many cartwheels are you engaging in? This is the entity that is conceding to stalking me. And where the government is conceding to stalking you, that's a government that's ready for everybody to go to prison. Whoever's the head of the department, whoever calls themselves Alan D. Wapner, he's already hanging on by a thread. He's looked like he's pushing 92. His old liver spot, he's going to prison. That's what you get with this concession of stalking as an airport. That's a terrorist leader. That's how their positions translate with regard to this criminal activity by an airport. Aided by Allied Universal, who's stalking with light. And the people of the state that are aiming light. That's terrorizing as I'm surrounded by a bunch of demons engaging in ominous stalking with light where the airport is stalking. Okay, rising right here over the Ontario City Hall, I've shown you what's back there. Sultana, the Ontario Fire Department, the College of Laverne University of Law, there's houses back there. This is terrorism while they're stalking in this extreme manner and conceding in that, doing cartwheels, and then engaging in what is ongoing psychopathic pacing. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in what is, this is how important my vagina is as well. This is what you need to know. This is how important it is. They're stalking me in the bathroom. The demon possessed that go into the bathroom, they're going inside on behalf of this airport that is very much concerned with what's going on between my legs. And that's the airport that's being shut down. That's the airport that has terrorist leaders who are holding positions, calling themselves things like CEO and president of the airport authority. No, those are terrorist leaders. And they're going to be federally prosecuted just like Osama bin Laden and any other foreign terrorist leader. This is P.O.C. It's 9:17 p.m. This is informing what Allied Universal is doing, stalking with light. Securitas is doing, stalking with light. What the people of the state are doing on the roads and the highways, stalking with light. What they're all doing inside of the apartment buildings. What they're doing at the College of Law, University of Laverne. This little non-law law school. They're gang stalking. This is surveillance. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged. Here's my shadow down here on the floor. There are a bunch of stalkers. This is the second shadow. Here's another shadow up here on the wall. Okay, there's another shadow back here on the wall, very faint. This is not explained away by that. This is surveillance. These are demons, and that's demonic behavior, this ongoing stalking. Stalking in these extreme manners, that's because they're demon possessed. They're not just doing a little bit of stalking. It's all out and out stalking. It's the demon possessed. It's P.O.C. That's 9:18 p.m.